Hello everybody and welcome to another Nerd News review. My name is Tyler Waltz and I'm going to be reviewing the Mario movie in my half put together studio because we're still moving stuff around. But with that, let's go ahead and get to the review. I just want to start off by saying I was very pleasantly surprised with this movie. I went in pretty skeptical, thinking that it was going to be about 50-50. There was going to be some fun stuff that they referenced, a lot of stuff that I liked, a lot of things that were probably just kind of shoehorned in or weird because what can you do with the Mario movie? But at the end of the day, they kind of killed it. I think they did a great job. I think one of the reasons that they were able to do so well, though, is because of the plot. I think they knocked it out of the park by keeping it simple. Now, for those of you that don't want spoilers, you might want to skip ahead. I'm going to do some character stuff later and just do some breakdowns of just general things about the movie. So spoiler warning going ahead. So the plot of the movie is very simple, which I'm glad that they did, because if they tried to do something complicated or really kooky or out there to try and fit it into this pseudo Mario style world, I think it would have fallen apart. But the fact that they kept it so straightforward with Bowser kidnapping Peach to marry Peach is the best direction that they could have went. There's no side anything. It is just, this is what is happening in this movie. Mario and Peach are trying to prevent it, and Bowser is on the way. It's incredibly simple, and I think they knocked it out of the park for what they were trying to do with this movie. With that being said, there's a lot of jokes in it that aren't only good for kids, they're great for adults too. There's so many small little jokes for adults in there to keep you having a good time, even if you're bringing your kid to just watch it, or you're just an adult that likes Mario and wants to see this movie. It even had a surprising amount of dark humor in it from a character that was in the dungeon. It's one of the stars from Super Mario Galaxy. Honestly, some of my favorite dialogue in the entire movie, just so contradictory to the entire style and how they're presenting themselves as a movie. It's absurdism humor to another degree that I think was hilarious and dark. Some of the times I was like, I think a lot of kids are going to be walking out of this movie theater with a lot of questions that parents are going to be uncomfortable answering. Let's move on to the characters. The character that I want to start with is probably the most obvious one, Mario. A lot of people were complaining in the first trailer that Chris Pratt wasn't really making too much of a Mario voice. And I do feel that sentiment. I really do. When you're watching the movie, it feels a bit better. There's only a couple times in the movie that I kind of noticed that there wasn't a lot going on with the voice. I really wish that he would have leaned into it though. At the beginning of the movie, they do the Mario Brothers plumbing service trailer where he does a passable Mario voice. I don't know how difficult it would have been to do that through the whole course of the movie, but at least you kind of know he can do it, and I kind of wish they just leaned into that more. But it is what it is, and he did a passable job. It was fine. The second character that I want to talk about is Luigi. I think Luigi was personally my favorite part of this movie. I think Charlie Day knocked it out of the park. I think Charlie Day did a really good job in portraying Luigi as this modern caricature of Luigi when it comes to being scared, but still doing it. There's some Luigi's Mansion references in there with the flashlight in the dark, and it's so good. My biggest complaint about the movie, I think, is that Luigi wasn't in it more. There's a big section of the movie where he's just kind of MIA, like, ooh, wonder what's happening to Luigi. I wish they would have incorporated him more because he was my favorite part of the whole movie. Next, I would like to talk about Peach. I think they did a great job with Peach, too. I would say she was probably my second favorite character in the movie. The way that they portrayed her character was really good. In the more recent Mario games, she's a playable character in a lot of them, and they really honed in on that style of Peach, where she's much more capable, she can do things, she's not just a damsel in distress. Honestly, Luigi kind of fills that role a little bit more in this movie, which makes it kind of funny. And I know that there's a lot of people that are kind of complaining about Peach being a bit of a Mary Sue type, but I didn't really get that. Unlike some of the Star Wars movies with Rey, where she was kind of automatically good at everything, they at least show a montage and justify why she's the one that's teaching Mario, and it really makes sense with the plot of the movie. I mean, they set it up to where she was a child that was found in the Mushroom Kingdom, which is a world where these obstacles and the blocks and the piranha plants and all those things exist. So she grew up with it, and it shows the montage of her training. So it makes 100% sense. She should be good at these things because this is how she's lived her life. And it really builds Mario up to be a great character because he is learning how to adapt to a new world. And it adds an extra layer to the story that I think Anna Taylor-Joy, as the voice actress, did incredibly well. And Peach was a knockout in this movie. She was really good, probably my second favorite character. The fourth character that I want to talk about is Jack Black as Bowser. I think he did a great job, which was funny because I was very skeptical. I had a hard time picturing Jack Black as Bowser, just getting those two tones of characters together. But the way that they did Bowser in this movie, I thought was great. They didn't go way overboard with him being this super evil. They didn't go way overboard with him being goofy. To break it down simply, he is very evil and says very evil things and talks about murder and killing, but at the same time, his motivation is extremely goofy and silly, and Jack Black plays so well into that role. And there's even a couple music scenes with a piano that had me howling laughing. The last character that I'm going to talk about, I didn't care for really much at all. They added a layer to the movie that was really funny, and I think the animation and how they fit into the story was really good, and that's Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong was such a funny addition to this movie that I think Seth Rogen kind of shit the bed on. I know in an interview and who he is and how he portrays himself, he doesn't do voices. I understand that, but if that's the case, I don't think you should necessarily be a voice actor, you know? Like, I know a lot of people kind of crapped on Chris Pratt for not doing the best job as Mario, but when you're watching it, you can tell that he tried to a certain degree. Seth Rogen was just Seth Rogen. There was no character to it. He just said references to Donkey Kong and talked. His really dumb laugh made it into it a couple times, which made me laugh just because it took me so out of the movie because it was just clearly Seth Rogen that I just don't think he added anything to the movie himself. That being said, Donkey Kong with the like Mario Kart references and stuff was a great addition to the movie. I was just really disappointed in Seth Rogen, honestly. The movie sits at about an hour and a half, which I think was perfect. It did really well in telling the parts of the story that they wanted to tell, and nothing drug out too long. I don't think there was any part in the movie where I was just sitting there and I'm going, okay, we could probably wrap this up. It's taking a bit too long. Let's just get moving. Everything felt like it had a good place and it made sense, and they really just followed through really well. Speaking of following through, the flow of the movie made a lot of sense. It felt very video gamey. You started out with the protagonist kind of figuring out, making it to this new world, the early levels, which were way easy in the training, to then transfer over, and it's kind of the world hopping. It's very reminiscent of a Mario game to where each step gets a little bit harder. It was very well put together, so I really liked the pacing of the movie, and I'm glad that they really tied it in all at the end, returning it back to the real world for like the final hurrah with Bowser, and I thought that was great. But with that, I think that's going to wrap up my review for the Mario movie. I would honestly give it like a 7 out of 10. It was a solid movie. If you've got kids, it's excellent. It's just a nice, straightforward, fun, goofy style of movie that you can get a lot of good laughs. There's a lot of adult humor in there too, because I think they knew their audience. It also had an incredible like 80s themed music. Like there was Thunderstruck, Take On Me was in there, tons of excellent 80s, 90s music. So yeah, I would give it a 7 out of 10, and let me know what you think of the movie, what you think the sequel's probably going to be, and we'll catch you on the next review. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for checking out Nerd News, everybody. We don't have advertising, so you are the advertising. If you like it, tell a friend, like, comment, subscribe, even leave a review on Apple. Everything that you do to support us, we truly appreciate it. And we actually just launched our Patreon, so if you'd like to support us even more, you can go check that out. All of our content is free. We have different rewards for different tiers, so check that out. And thanks again. We'll catch you next time.